I'm Jake. Lying in a hospital while my wife, Hannah, is spending time with Matt, a childhood friend. Disregarding the fact that we are married for 7 years. Now after Rebirth she wants me back, but I am no longer interested in her. The machines continue their steady beeping, filling the room with a rhythm I've come to know too well. My thoughts, though, drift backward, to a time when the sound of a heartbeat or laughter was all I needed to feel alive. I think of those early days with Hannah, when our love was untouchable, full of promise and certainty. We were young, full of fire, two souls that believed we could conquer the world as long as we had each other. We built a life on shared dreams, a bond that felt unbreakable. I can still feel the warmth of her hand in mine, the way she'd lean her head on my shoulder during quiet moments, as if the weight of the world couldn't touch us. Those moments were everything. We made promises, ones I believed I'd keep forever. I believed in us. But somewhere along the way, things started to unravel. It didn't happen all at once, it was gradual, like a slow fade of color until you suddenly realized the brightness is gone. What was once effortless between us became hard. Conversations that used to flow turned into silence, and our closeness felt more like a memory than a reality. I can't pinpoint the exact moment, but I felt it, felt her slipping away, felt us slipping away. I wonder if she noticed it too, or if it was just me. Maybe she had seen it long before I did. I remember trying to bridge the distance, reaching out to her, but every time, it seemed like I was pushing her further away. She became distant, retreating into herself, and I couldn't reach her. I started to question everything, our love, our future, even myself. How had we let it get to this point? The worst part was the emptiness. It wasn't the arguments or the hurtful words that lingered, it was the quiet moments, the ones where she was right there beside me, but I felt completely alone. I tried to fill the void with anything I could, distractions, excuses. But nothing worked. Nothing could replace what was missing between us. And then came my greatest mistake. The betrayal. I turned away from her, from the life we had built together, in a moment of weakness. I looked for solace in someone else's arms, thinking it would numb the pain. But all it did was deepen the emptiness, making me realize just how much I had lost. The second it happened, I knew, there was no going back. I had destroyed the one thing that still mattered to me. Now, as I lie here, the weight of that mistake feels unbearable. I replay it over and over, wondering if things could have been different. If I had just fought harder, held on a little longer. I wish I could tell her how sorry I am. I wish I could tell her that, despite everything, I still love her. That I've always loved her. But what if it's too late? What if the chance to make things right is gone? I feel the seconds slipping away from me, each one pulling me further from the hope of redemption. I want to believe there's still time, still a chance to mend what's broken between us. But that hope is fragile, like the breath that comes harder with each passing moment. All I can do now is wait for her, wait for the chance to make things right, if she'll let me. I don't know if I deserve it. Maybe I don't. But I'll keep waiting, because what else is left for a man whose heart is full of regret? The rhythmic beeping of the machine surrounds me, a constant reminder of my fragile existence. I lie in this hospital bed, my body weak and battered, but my mind is restless. Despite the haze of medication and pain, I can't shake the feeling that something is amiss, a nagging thought that gnaws at me, whispering that I'm not the only one keeping secrets. One afternoon, the sun streams through the window, casting a warm glow across the sterile room. I overhear two nurses outside my door. Their voices are soft but carry easily in the stillness of the hallway. I try to focus on the TV mounted in the corner, but my ears prick up as they mention Hannah. I saw her again, one nurse says, her tone low yet clear. She was having coffee with Matt. Matt. The name strikes me like a bolt of lightning. My heart races, a sudden surge of anxiety coursing through me. I strain to listen, fearing I've misunderstood. But the nurses continue. She's been spending a lot of time with him lately, the second nurse replies. I think it's more than just friendship. Memories flood back. Matt, a name I hadn't heard in years, a ghost from Hannah's past. He was her high school friend, someone I had always felt a flicker of jealousy toward. I had thought their friendship harmless, a relic of her youth. But now, in this moment, the implications hit me like a wave crashing against the shore. I can't believe it. The thought of Hannah, the woman I love, sharing her life with another man sends a chill down my spine. What were they discussing? What comfort could she find in his company that she couldn't find with me? My heart feels heavy, a mix of dread and betrayal settling deep within. Have you seen how she looks at him? One nurse continues, her tone laced with concern. It's like she's rekindling something. I worry about her. Yeah, the other nurse replies, her voice tinged with sympathy. I think she's just trying to find someone to lean on. It's been tough for her since, you know. I feel the air rush from my lungs as I realize what she means, since I landed in this hospital bed. I can only imagine how lonely Hannah must feel, facing the reality of my situation without the support of the man she thought she could trust. In my absence, I had left her vulnerable, alone with her thoughts and fears. And now, it seems, she's turning to Matt for comfort. I close my eyes, trying to block out the world, but the truth crashes over me like a relentless tide. My heart aches for Hannah, yet churns with jealousy and anger. How could she seek solace in him? How could she turn to someone else when I was the one who had strayed first? It feels so unfair, the way life twists and turns, allowing both of us to hurt and be hurt at the same time. I'm torn between the desire to confront her and the fear of what I might discover. I want to lash out, to demand answers, to pull her back to me and shake her out of this illusion of comfort. But part of me wonders if I even have the right to feel this way. After all, I was the one who broke our trust. As the nurses' conversation fades down the hall, the weight of their words lingers. My mind races with questions and doubts, spinning in a chaotic dance of emotions. The truth I had been avoiding now looms over me, undeniable and stark. When Hannah arrives, I know I must confront her. I need to express my feelings, to convey how deeply I regret my mistakes and how much I long to reconnect. But the thought of addressing the situation with Matt hanging over us feels like standing at the edge of a precipice, ready to leap into the unknown. The machines continue their steady rhythm as I lie back against the pillows, bracing myself for the confrontation ahead. I need to know what's really going on between Hannah and Matt. I need to find a way to bring her back to me before it's too late. The thought of losing her to someone else, especially to someone from her past, sends a shudder through me, igniting a fierce determination to reclaim the love we once had. Matt had always lingered in the shadows of our relationship, a specter from Hannah's past that I could never quite shake. He was a friend from high school, someone who had shared a chapter of her life long before I came along. Even in the early days of our marriage, I felt an unsettling familiarity about him, a comfort that seemed to be rooted in something deeper than mere friendship. It was a nagging feeling I couldn't ignore, despite Hannah's reassurances that there was nothing to worry about. Hannah spoke of Matt with a fondness that intrigued and irritated me. I remember the first time I heard her mention his name, the way her eyes brightened momentarily was a spark I couldn't dismiss. It sent a twinge of jealousy through me, a silent alarm ringing in my mind. I brushed it off, convincing myself that I was being irrational, but the seed of doubt had already taken root. Each time she brought him up, it was with nostalgia, recounting shared experiences and inside jokes. We were just kids back then, she'd say with a laugh, reminiscing about their high school adventures. He was always the class clown. But as she spoke, I studied her face, searching for any signs of a lingering connection, one I feared could resurface. I tried to be understanding, to trust Hannah and the love we had built together. She insisted their friendship was innocent, a relic of her past holding no weight in our present. Yet, I remembered the times I'd seen him at parties or gatherings, his easy charm drawing people in, including Hannah. She'd laugh at his jokes and engage with him in a way that made my heart tighten with unease. It wasn't just jealousy, it was a gut instinct telling me their friendship ran deeper than Hannah let on. The way her laughter resonated when he walked into a room left lingering questions. I wanted to voice my concerns, but each time I tried, she brushed it aside, irritation creeping into her voice. "You're being ridiculous. He's just a friend, and you have nothing to worry about," she'd say, her patience wearing thin. But the more she defended him, the more I questioned everything. I thought about their history, the years spent together before I came into the picture. Had I stepped into a life so intricately woven with someone else's? Moments would arise where I felt like an intruder in our relationship, unsure of my place beside the ghost of Matt. As the years passed, I attempted to accept their friendship as an innocent connection between two people who had grown up together. Yet, the doubts persisted, gnawing at me. Whenever Hannah received a message from him or mentioned going out with friends, I wondered if he would be there, lurking just out of sight. I often pushed these thoughts away, but they would bubble up at the most inconvenient times, especially during quiet moments when I allowed my insecurities to surface. Now, lying in this hospital bed, I realize how foolish I was to think I could trust that their friendship would remain just that, friendship. The nurse's conversation about Hannah spending time with Matt has ripped open old wounds, exposing my insecurities and fears. I can't shake the feeling that while I wandered outside our marriage, Hannah was seeking comfort in Matt, turning to the one person I had always feared would come between us. The thought sends a surge of anger and despair through me. How could she do this now? After everything we've been through, how could she find solace in someone I never trusted? I replay every moment in my mind, every time I should have spoken up, every time I should have fought harder for our love. But now it feels too late, and the specter of Matt looms larger than ever. As I lie here, the beeping of machines fades into the background, leaving only a profound sadness washing over me like a heavy fog. The anger I thought would consume me has dissipated, leaving an aching emptiness echoing in my heart. The truth about Hannah spending time with Matt has extinguished the flame of love I once held for her, leaving behind a smoldering ruin of what we used to share. I think back to moments when our love felt invincible, when the future shimmered with possibilities, and the world was ours to conquer together. But now, that love feels poisoned, tainted by betrayal that lingers like a bitter aftertaste. Each memory is tinted with loss, a reminder of what I thought we were building, a life filled with trust, companionship, and unwavering support. Instead, I grapple with the reality that Hannah sought comfort in the very person I had always feared. The sadness wells up inside me, pooling in my chest until I feel I might drown in it. I remember the way she used to look at me, her eyes lighting up with love and admiration. Now, that warmth feels distant, overshadowed by the realization that she found solace elsewhere while I lay helpless. It's as if the essence of our love has been stripped away, leaving only echoes of what once was. Every moment we shared, every laugh, every whispered promise now feels like a cruel joke. The trust we built, once a fortress, has crumbled into dust. I had poured my heart into our relationship, believing we were a team, and now I feel foolish for having been so naive. I had convinced myself that Hannah would always choose me, that she would never seek comfort in another man's arms. I close my eyes, trying to shut out the world, but memories flood in unbidden. I recall intimate evenings spent on the couch, fingers entwined as we shared dreams and fears. Her laughter, pure and joyful, would fill our home with warmth. Now, those memories are tainted by the knowledge that she found joy elsewhere, comfort in Matt when I was too lost to be there for her. A wave of despair crashes over me, threatening to pull me under. I want to scream, to lash out at her for choosing him, for seeking solace in someone I've never trusted. But instead, all I can manage is a hollow ache deep in my chest, an overwhelming sadness that settles over me like a heavy blanket. I feel betrayed, yes, but more than that, I feel a deep sense of loss, the loss of the woman I thought I knew, the loss of the life we envisioned, and the loss of the trust that once held us together. It feels as if the love I had for her has turned toxic, a dark stain on the canvas of our relationship. I remember the vows we made, the promises that seemed unbreakable, and it breaks my heart to think how easily they were cast aside. I can't help but wonder if she ever truly loved me or if I was merely a placeholder until the past came knocking at her door. As I lie here, grappling with the weight of my emotions, I realize that healing will take time, that it won't happen overnight. I'm left to wrestle with the memories, the dreams we shared, and the painful truth that our love, once a vibrant tapestry, has now become a complex mosaic of hurt, regret, and uncertainty. As the days stretch on in this sterile hospital room, the beeping of machines becomes a haunting soundtrack to my decline. Each rhythmic pulse serves as a cruel reminder of my fragility, both physically and emotionally. The illness that has laid me low has claimed not just my health but the very essence of who I am. I feel its weight pressing down on me, a constant heaviness that settles into my bones. With every passing moment, the reality of my situation becomes clearer. I am losing this battle. The sadness I felt has morphed into a deep-seated ache, a relentless sorrow that seeps into every corner of my mind. My body may be fighting the illness, but my heart feels broken and battered, still reeling from the realization that Hannah sought solace in someone else during my darkest hour. The betrayal echoes in my thoughts like a relentless refrain, reminding me of the love I had thought was unbreakable. Every time I close my eyes, I see her face, a haunting image that once brought me comfort but now feels like a ghost. I want to remember the laughter we shared, the moments of intimacy that made our bond so special, but those memories are overshadowed by the fact that Hannah turned to Matt when I needed her most. How could she? How could she betray us like that? Anger has faded, replaced by a profound sense of grief that I can't seem to shake. I think about the life we built together, the dreams we painted in vibrant colors, now dulled to gray by this heart-wrenching reality. I can almost hear the laughter echoing in our home, the sounds of our shared joy now replaced by the haunting silence of this hospital room. My heart aches with every beat, each thump resonating with the pain of knowing I might never return to the life we once shared. Drifting in and out of consciousness, I find myself caught in a haze of medication and memories. The nurses come and go, their faces blurring together in my mind. They check my vitals, adjust the IVs, and offer gentle words of comfort, but they don't know the battle I'm waging inside. I can feel myself slipping away, each day a little weaker, a little more distant from the life I once knew. In my more lucid moments, I think about the conversations Hannah and I could have had, conversations that could have salvaged our love, that could have pulled us back from the brink. But now, it feels too late. I wonder if she even thinks of me, if she feels the weight of her choices bearing down on her as I do. Or has she already moved on, finding the comfort she once sought in my arms and the laughter and warmth of Matt? The thought sends another wave of despair crashing over me, and I feel a tear slip down my cheek, a silent testament to the pain filling my heart. Alone with my thoughts, I am a broken man haunted by the love I still feel for her, a love that has been so easily tainted. I had believed love would conquer all, but now I see that it can also leave you vulnerable to betrayal and heartache. As the days turn into a blur, I can feel my body surrendering to the illness. The light in the room seems to dim, the shadows creeping in, and I know my time is drawing near. I think about Hannah one last time, about the life we could have had, the love we could have nurtured if only I had been stronger, if only she had chosen differently. The regrets flood my mind, overwhelming me as I slip further into the abyss. As I lie here, broken and hurt, I feel a profound sense of loss, not just for myself, but for the love we once had, a love that now feels like a distant memory. The machines beep steadily, a stark contrast to the silence that envelopes my heart. I am filled with a profound sadness, not just for the end that is approaching, but for the beautiful moments that will never come to be. Just as I feel myself slipping into the cold embrace of darkness, something shifts. The world blurs at the edges, the beeping of machines fading into an echoing distance. For a moment, I think this must be it. I am ready to surrender to the void, ready to let go of the heartache, the sadness, and the unbearable weight of betrayal. But just as despair wraps its arms around me, a sudden jolt of energy surges through my body, electrifying every fiber of my being. I gasp, my lungs filling with air as if I've emerged from deep water. My eyes fly open, and I'm met with a brightness that seems almost unnatural. The sterile hospital room is gone, replaced by a lush, verdant landscape bathed in golden sunlight. I blink, disoriented, as the vibrant colors wash over me, greens more vivid than I've ever seen, blues that stretch infinitely into the sky. It's as if I've been transported to a world where everything is alive. Panic courses through me, my heart racing with a mix of fear and confusion. Am I dreaming? Have I crossed over? I sit up slowly, taking in my surroundings. I feel different, lighter, as if a heavy shroud has been lifted from my shoulders. There's no pain in my body, no ache from the illness that had plagued me for so long. I feel whole. As I rise to my feet, the ground beneath me feels warm and inviting. The grass tickles my toes, and I glance around, my heart pounding with a mixture of awe and trepidation. In the distance, I see a figure, a woman with long, flowing hair standing at the edge of a grove. She turns to face me, and my breath catches in my throat. It's Hannah. But she is different here, radiant, untouched by the pain that once marred our love. Her smile is warm and genuine, devoid of the shadows of betrayal that clouded our past. I want to run to her, to wrap my arms around her and feel the warmth of her embrace, but doubt washes over me. Is this a trick? A cruel illusion conjured by my mind as it fades into the abyss? Hannah? I call out, my voice trembling. She turns fully, her expression shifting from surprise to joy as she steps toward me. It's really you, she says, her voice soft and melodic. I was afraid I had lost you for good. My heart aches at her words. I want to tell her how I felt, how the pain of her betrayal cut deep, but in this moment, I feel an overwhelming sense of hope swell within me. Perhaps this isn't just a momentary escape, maybe this is my chance to start anew. What is this place? I ask, my voice shaky with emotion. Did I die? Hannah shakes her head, her eyes sparkling like the sun. No, my love. This is a second chance. A rebirth of sorts. You have been given an opportunity to return, to live again, but this time, to choose differently. The weight of her words settles over me, and I feel an intoxicating mixture of disbelief and excitement. Could it be true? Had I truly been given a second chance? My heart races as I consider the implications of this newfound opportunity. I think of the love we shared, of the moments that were tainted by doubt and betrayal, and I realize how desperately I want to rewrite our story. Can we go back? I ask, hope blooming in my chest. Can we start over? Yes, she replies, stepping closer, her hand reaching out to mine. But remember, the choices you make will shape your journey. You must face the shadows of your past, confront the pain, and find a way to heal. It won't be easy, but you'll have a chance to rebuild what was lost. As her fingers wrap around mine, a surge of warmth flows through me. I feel a renewed sense of purpose, a determination to make things right. I want to understand the depth of my mistakes, the reasons behind my actions, and how to forge a new path together with Hannah, one filled with love, trust, and resilience. Together, we step into the sunlight, a brilliant glow enveloping us. I take a deep breath, filling my lungs with the fresh, vibrant air of this new existence. I am ready to embrace the challenge that lies ahead. I will face the echoes of my past, confront my fears, and learn to forgive, not only Hannah but also myself. With Hannah by my side, I feel an overwhelming sense of hope. I am ready to fight for the love we once had, to nurture it and let it flourish anew. This second chance at life isn't just a gift, it's an invitation to rediscover the depths of my heart, to reclaim the love I thought I had lost forever. As we walk forward, hand in hand, I can feel the world shifting around us. It's no longer just about survival, it's about living fully, embracing every moment, and cherishing the love that binds us together. In this unexpected rebirth, I am determined to rewrite our story, turning pain into strength, sorrow into joy, and betrayal into a testament of resilience. And with that, I step boldly into my second chance at life. As I navigate this new life, the vibrancy and hope that once surged through me begin to dim, replaced by a gnawing uncertainty. Each day, I wake up with the sun streaming through the window, the colors of the world still brilliant and alive, but shadows lurk at the edges of my vision. I find myself caught in a whirlwind of emotions, joy at the second chance I've been given, yet haunted by the remnants of the past that cling stubbornly to my heart. Hannah is here with me, radiant and filled with love, but I can't shake the feeling that I'm not ready to confront the reality of our relationship. As we spend time together, sharing laughter and rekindling the connection that once felt so effortless, an unsettling detachment grips me. The memories of betrayal hang over us like a specter, a reminder of the fragile trust that had been shattered. I often glimpse the woman I fell in love with, the warmth of her laughter and the tenderness in her gaze, but an underlying current of fear keeps me from fully immersing myself in our shared moments. I feel like a ghost, drifting through this beautiful world, unable to anchor myself to her or to our past. The choices I have to make, the conversations we still need to have about trust and forgiveness, about the shadows that loom between us, fill me with dread. As I contemplate my next steps, urgency builds within me. I realize that while Hannah has been given a chance to start over, I haven't fully embraced my own. There's a part of me that longs to break free from the pain of our history, to escape the weight of expectation that comes with her presence. I can't shake the feeling that I need to find my own path, one that doesn't include the tangled web of emotions we share. And so, in a moment of desperation, I make the decision to leave. It feels sudden and reckless, but there's clarity in my resolve that I can't ignore. I want to create distance, to carve out space where I can explore who I am without the shadows of our past weighing me down. I know this decision will hurt her, but I convince myself that it's for the best. Maybe it's the only way to truly heal. The night before I plan to leave, I lie awake, listening to the soft sounds of Hannah's breathing beside me. I watch her in the moonlight, her face serene, untouched by the turmoil that churns inside me. It breaks my heart to think of leaving her without an explanation, without a goodbye, but I feel I owe it to myself to take this leap, to step into the unknown and confront the depths of my soul. As dawn approaches, I gather my things quietly, trying not to wake her. My heart races with each sound, the crinkle of fabric and the soft thud of my belongings echoing in the stillness of the room. I pause, looking back at her one last time, and a surge of guilt washes over me. I should say something, anything, to explain why I'm leaving, but the words refuse to form. How could I explain the chaos in my mind, the turmoil of emotions that propelled me toward this decision? I tiptoe out of the room, every step a reminder of the love we once shared and the life we built together. I reach the front door, my hand trembling as I grasp the handle. For a fleeting moment, I consider turning back, calling out her name and confessing my fears and uncertainties, but then I remember the weight of the past. I realize I need to break free, not just from her, but from the man I used to be. With one last glance at the home we shared, I step into the crisp morning air, the world outside feeling both foreign and familiar. The sun rises in the sky, casting golden rays that warm my skin, yet it does little to quell the storm brewing in my heart. As I walk away, I feel a mixture of exhilaration and despair, knowing I'm leaving behind the love that once anchored me, but also feeling a sense of freedom that I've longed for. I set off down the path, letting the sun guide me forward, and I resolve to find myself in this new life. I don't know what awaits me, but I understand that I must embark on this journey alone, without Hannah by my side. I hope that one day she can forgive me for leaving without a word, that she can understand I needed to reclaim my identity, to step into the light of my rebirth without the shadows of our past holding me back. With each step, I feel the weight of my decision settling in, a mix of hope and sorrow intertwining within me. I may have left Hannah behind, but I am determined to find my way in this new world, to explore the possibilities of who I can become, unburdened by the pain that once defined me. The road ahead is uncertain, but it's mine to traverse, and I am ready to embrace whatever lies beyond the horizon. Days turn into weeks, and I find myself wandering through unfamiliar streets, each step a reminder of the life I left behind. The vibrant colors that once filled my days now feel muted, a constant reminder of Hannah's absence. I try to immerse myself in the hustle and bustle around me, yet I can't shake the hollowness within. At first, the solitude feels liberating. I explore new cafes, meet strangers, and discover hidden parks where I can sit quietly with my thoughts. I indulge in the freedom of being alone, but as time passes, loneliness begins to seep in, creeping into the spaces where joy used to reside. I often find myself replaying memories of Hannah, her laughter echoing in my mind like a bittersweet melody. One evening, I sit in a small cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee swirling around me as I stare out the window. A couple walks by, their fingers intertwined, and a wave of longing washes over me. I realize how deeply I miss the intimacy we shared, the quiet moments, the laughter, the unspoken understanding. The world feels empty without her. Then, one fateful day, as I wander through a local art gallery, I catch a glimpse of a painting that stops me in my tracks. It's a vibrant depiction of a couple standing hand in hand under a golden sunset, their faces illuminated with joy. The colors remind me of the warmth we once shared, and I feel an overwhelming urge to reach out to Hannah, to tell her how I've been feeling. As I take out my phone, my heart races. The thought of reconnecting fills me with both hope and fear. What if she's moved on? What if the betrayal still lingers in her heart, like a wound that never healed? But I know I can't hide from the past any longer, I need to confront it head-on. After a moment of hesitation, I type out a message, "Hannah, can we talk? I've been thinking about us." I hit send, and a rush of anxiety washes over me. I have no idea how she will respond or if she will even want to see me again. I'm ready to face the consequences of my choices, ready to confront the shadows that have haunted me since the moment I walked away. Hours pass, each tick of the clock intensifying my anticipation. Just as I begin to doubt my decision, my phone buzzes with a notification. It's a message from her, "I've missed you. Can we meet?" A surge of hope ignites within me, banishing the loneliness that had settled in my heart. I quickly reply, suggesting a cafe we used to visit together. As I prepare to meet her, my heart races with a blend of excitement and trepidation. This is my chance to confront the past, to seek forgiveness, and perhaps to rebuild the love we once shared. When I arrive at the cafe, I spot Hannah sitting at a table by the window, her gaze fixed on the door. She looks just as radiant as I remember, yet there's a vulnerability in her expression that tugs at my heart. As our eyes meet, a flood of memories washes over me, the laughter, the joy, and the bittersweet pain of what we've endured. "Jake," she says softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know if you would come." I almost didn't, I admit, taking a seat across from her. But I realized I can't keep running from what we had, from what we still have. The silence stretches between us, heavy with unspoken words. I take a deep breath, ready to confront the ghosts of our past. "I know I hurt you by leaving without explanation. I thought it was what I needed, but it was a mistake. I've missed you every day." Tears glisten in her eyes, and for a moment, I'm afraid she'll pull away again. But instead, she reaches across the table, her hand brushing against mine. "I missed you too, Jake. I never stopped loving you, despite everything." In that moment, I feel a glimmer of hope, a flicker of the love we once shared. Perhaps this second chance is what we both needed, a chance to heal, to confront the shadows, and to rediscover the light that brought us together. As we begin to talk, I realize that while the road ahead may be challenging, it's one I'm willing to navigate with her by my side. Together, we can face our fears, confront our past, and nurture the love that still exists between us. This time, we will choose to embrace the light, leaving the shadows behind. Of the pain, but as I looked at her, I also saw the woman I had fallen in love with, the woman whose laughter had once filled my world with light. "Can you tell me more about what you want to change?" I asked, my voice steadier now. "What do you think went wrong?" Hannah took a deep breath, her eyes locking onto mine. "I let my insecurities and fears create a distance between us. I thought I could handle everything on my own, but I realize now that I pushed you away instead of bringing you closer. I want to communicate better, to be open about my feelings instead of hiding them. I want us to be partners again, sharing everything, no matter how difficult it may be." The sincerity in her words ignited a flicker of hope within me, but I still had reservations. "I need time to process this, Hannah," I replied, my heart aching at the thought of causing her more pain. "But I'm willing to listen and to think about what you've said." "Just please," she pleaded, her voice breaking slightly. "Don't shut me out again. I know I've hurt you, but I promise I'll do everything in my power to show you how much I love you and how sorry I am. I want to fight for us." As I sat there, the weight of her words settled around me, and I found myself torn between the desire to forgive and the fear of being hurt again. But there was something in her gaze, something that spoke of vulnerability and genuine remorse, that made me consider the possibility of rebuilding. "I can't promise that it will be easy," I said finally, my voice quiet yet firm. "But I'm willing to try, to see if we can find a way back to each other." Hannah's face lit up with hope, tears streaming down her cheeks as she squeezed my hand tightly. "Thank you. Thank you for giving me this chance. I won't let you down." In that moment, the barriers that had stood between us began to crumble, replaced by the tentative threads of connection woven from honesty and vulnerability. As we sat there, hands clasped across the table, I felt a glimmer of hope rekindle within me, a flicker of the love that had once burned brightly, waiting for the chance to be reignited. We spent the next hour talking, our conversation a mix of laughter, shared memories, and painful truths. I watched as Hannah spoke about her regrets, each word falling from her lips like a confession, and for the first time in a long time, I felt the heaviness in my chest begin to lift. "I remember our trips to the lake," she said, a soft smile breaking through her tears. "How we would sit by the water, just talking about our dreams. It felt so simple and beautiful. I miss that part of us." "Me too," I admitted, a smile creeping onto my face. "Those moments were everything to me. We used to have such fun together." "I want to make more of those moments," she said, her voice earnest. "I want to create new memories with you, to rediscover what we've lost." Her words resonated deep within me, and I found myself thinking of the future instead of dwelling on the past. "Okay," I said slowly, "let's take it one step at a time. We can start with small things, maybe a walk together, or dinner like we used to." Hannah's face brightened, and she nodded eagerly. "I'd love that. Just being with you again feels like a step in the right direction." As we continued to talk, I felt the walls around my heart begin to soften. Each laugh, each shared memory, was a brick removed from the fortress I had built. It wasn't going to be easy, but for the first time, I felt a spark of hope that we could rebuild what had been broken. Eventually, the cafe started to empty, and the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow through the windows. It was a stark contrast to the coldness that had filled my heart for so long. I looked at Hannah, who was now wiping away the remnants of her tears, a hopeful smile on her lips. "I should go," she said, reluctantly glancing at her watch. "But can we meet again tomorrow? Maybe at the park?" "Yes," I replied without hesitation. "I'd like that." As we stood to leave, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. We walked to the door side by side, and when we stepped outside, the air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers. It was a reminder that spring was just around the corner, a season of renewal, growth, and hope. "I'll text you," she said, a smile lighting up her face. "Looking forward to it," I replied, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. As I watched her walk away, I realized that while the road ahead was uncertain, it was a road I was willing to take with her. I was ready to face the challenges, to communicate openly, and to rebuild the love we once had. In that moment, I understood that forgiveness was not a destination but a journey I was ready to embark on. As Hannah's words hung in the air, a part of me desperately wanted to believe in her sincerity, to cling to the flicker of hope shimmering between us. But as I looked into her tear-filled eyes, I felt a dissonance deep within, a stubborn ache that refused to be soothed by her pleas for forgiveness. Her betrayal was not just a fleeting moment, it was a profound fracture that cut deeper than I had anticipated. I pulled my hand away, creating a distance that echoed the chasm I felt inside. Hannah's face fell as the warmth of connection dissipated, replaced by an icy reality that loomed over us like a storm cloud. Her vulnerability was palpable, but so was the weight of betrayal, a lingering specter shadowing every word she spoke. "I can't do this," I finally managed, my voice tight with emotion. "I want to forgive you, I really do. But every time I think of us, of what you did, it feels like I'm holding a dagger in my heart." She opened her mouth to speak, but I raised my hand to silence her. "Please, let me finish. I don't want to hurt you, but the truth is that the trust we built over all those years has shattered. You were my partner, my confidant, and you turned to him instead of me. It feels like you chose him over our life together." Her eyes widened, panic setting in as she realized the depth of my pain. "I didn't choose him. I swear, I thought I could manage my feelings. I never intended to hurt you," she pleaded, her voice rising with desperation. "Yet, you did," I replied, my tone more resolute now, echoing the gravity of the betrayal. "Every moment you spent with Matt, every secret you shared with him, eroded the foundation of what we built together. It's too much to forgive, Hannah. Too much to forget." Silence enveloped us, heavy and suffocating, as I watched her crumble in front of me. Her facade of strength shattered, revealing the scared and broken woman beneath. I could almost feel the raw ache of her regret, but still, the bitterness clung to my heart like a poison. "I know I have to earn back your trust," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I'll do anything. Just give me a chance to show you how much I care. I'm ready to fight for us." But the words felt hollow to me. I had been fighting for our love, for our marriage, for years, and all she had to do was lean into that bond instead of shoving me away. The scars left by her choices were too raw, too fresh, and the thought of reopening those wounds made me want to retreat even further into myself. "I can't keep doing this," I said, my heart heavy with resolve. "I need to protect myself, to put my heart first this time. I can't allow myself to be hurt again. I won't let the memories of our love become tainted by the betrayal." Her expression shifted, an unfamiliar mix of desperation and understanding crossing her features. I understand if you need time. Just know that I'm here. I'll be waiting, ready to prove that I can change." I could see her heart breaking, and yet, I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. I had made my decision. I needed to focus on my own healing, to rediscover who I was without the weight of her betrayal dragging me down. I couldn't afford to let her guilt or sorrow dictate my feelings any longer. "Maybe time is what we both need," I said softly, the pain of my words nearly choking me. "But I can't promise that I'll come back to you. I can't promise that I'll be able to forgive what you've done." Her tears flowed freely now, a testament to the depth of our unraveling connection. "I'm so sorry," she choked out, her voice breaking. "I wish I could take it all back. You have no idea how much I regret my actions." "I believe you," I replied, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. But belief doesn't equate to forgiveness. I need space to figure this out. I can't keep pretending that everything is okay when it's not. The look on her face was one I would never forget, the mixture of heartbreak and regret etched into her features. As I stood up from the table, I felt a finality settle over the moment, heavy and profound. I knew this wasn't just an ending, it was a turning point, a necessary break in the cycles of pain we had inflicted on one another. "Goodbye, Hannah," I said, my voice barely a whisper. I turned away, leaving her sitting alone at the table, the weight of my absence settling around her like a fog. I walked out of the cafe, each step echoing the decision I had made to protect myself, to reclaim my own narrative. The door swung shut behind me, sealing away the turmoil of our shared past. I stepped into the cool air outside, the sun shining brightly overhead, illuminating the path ahead. I could feel the lingering ache in my heart, but alongside it was a sense of liberation. I was no longer tethered to the pain of betrayal. I was reclaiming my life and my identity, ready to face whatever came next, even if it meant doing so alone. As I walked away from the cafe, my heart felt heavy yet oddly light at the same time. Each step I took away from Hannah marked the shedding of an old skin, a layer of myself that had clung too tightly for too long. I didn't know where I was headed, but I felt a magnetic pull toward the ocean, the vastness of it calling out to me like a siren song. The sun was beginning to dip toward the horizon as I reached the shoreline. The sky transformed into a canvas of vibrant oranges, pinks, and deep purples, colors swirling together like an artist's brushstrokes, illuminating the water with shimmering hues. I paused at the edge of the sand, the cool breeze brushing against my skin, feeling like a breath of fresh air after being trapped in a suffocating room. I took a deep breath, inhaling the salty scent of the sea mixed with the warmth of the setting sun. It enveloped me, wrapping around me like a comforting embrace. I watched as the waves crashed gently against the shore, rhythmic and soothing, each one pulling away grains of sand as if erasing the footprints of my past. Standing there, I felt a profound sense of freedom wash over me. I had shed the weight of guilt, the burden of betrayal, and the fear of losing what I once held dear. I was no longer defined by the pain of Hannah's choices. I was free to define myself on my own terms. The ocean stretched endlessly before me, a vast expanse that mirrored the possibilities of my future. Each wave that rolled in and out carried with it remnants of my old life, reminders of the love I once cherished but also the hurt that lingered in its shadow. As I watched the sun sink lower, casting golden reflections on the water's surface, I realized that moving on didn't mean forgetting, it meant embracing a new beginning. With every crashing wave, I felt the knots in my chest begin to unravel. I closed my eyes, listening to the soothing sounds of nature, the gentle lapping of water against the shore, the distant call of seagulls gliding overhead, and the rustling of palm trees swaying in the breeze. It was as if the universe was urging me to let go, to release the remnants of a love that had once brought me joy but had ultimately turned bittersweet. In that moment, I understood that healing is not a linear path, it's a journey filled with peaks and valleys. I had the power to navigate it, to find peace in the chaos, and to embrace whatever came next. As the sun dipped lower, casting a golden glow across the horizon, I opened my eyes, letting the beauty of the moment sink into my soul. I felt a sense of clarity that had eluded me for so long. I had taken a difficult step by walking away from Hannah, but it was a necessary one. I could feel the stirrings of hope beginning to blossom within me, a reminder that I was still capable of love, of trust, and of finding joy again. The ocean, with its endless possibilities, symbolized the chance to start anew. As the sun kissed the horizon, a vibrant streak of red and orange igniting the sky, I made a silent promise to myself. I would take this opportunity to rediscover who I was, to reconnect with the passions and dreams that had faded in the shadows of heartbreak. I took a few steps closer to the water, allowing the cool waves to lap at my feet, sending shivers through my body. Each surge of water felt like a cleansing, washing away the last remnants of doubt and sorrow. I smiled softly, the sensation grounding me, reminding me that I was alive and that life, in all its unpredictable glory, was waiting for me. As darkness began to cloak the sky and stars emerged, twinkling above like tiny beacons of hope, I felt a profound sense of peace enveloping me. I was not just moving on, I was stepping into a new chapter of my life, one filled with endless possibilities and the promise of renewal. The ocean whispered secrets of strength and resilience, urging me forward as I turned my back to the past and faced the vast unknown. With each wave that crashed behind me, I left behind the weight of betrayal, knowing I had the freedom to write my own story, to fill the pages with experiences yet to come, and to embrace the beauty of the life that lay ahead. I walked away from the shore, my heart lighter, my spirit renewed, ready to embark on the journey of rediscovery that awaited me beyond the horizon. Days turned into weeks, and as I settled into this newfound freedom, I began to explore the facets of myself that had long been overshadowed by my relationship with Hannah. I revisited old hobbies. Painting, which had once been my refuge, became a form of therapy. Each brushstroke on the canvas felt like a release, a chance to express the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside me. The vibrant colors mirrored my journey from heartbreak to healing, and I reveled in the creativity that surged through me. I also took long walks along the beach, letting the sound of the waves wash over me, and each step on the sand felt like a step toward reclaiming my identity. I would often find a quiet spot to sit and watch the sunset, allowing the beauty of nature to seep into my bones, soothing the raw edges of my heart. The ocean became my sanctuary, a place where I could reflect, grieve, and ultimately, begin to forgive myself for allowing Hannah's choices to define me. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the water, I noticed a small group of people gathered on the beach. Curiosity piqued, I approached them and discovered they were part of a local painting class. The instructor, an elderly woman with a warm smile, welcomed me to join. It felt like a sign, an opportunity to connect with others and immerse myself further in art. As I participated in the class, I found myself laughing and sharing stories with the other participants. Each person had their own journey, their own scars, and their own art to express it. We painted together, exchanging tips and inspiration, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of camaraderie and belonging. One of the students, a woman named Clara, caught my eye. She had an infectious laugh and a genuine warmth that drew people to her. We started chatting during breaks, sharing our stories and discovering common ground in our experiences. I admired her passion for art, and her encouragement inspired me to push beyond my comfort zone. Slowly, I felt walls begin to crumble around my heart. As the days passed, Clara and I grew closer. We shared meals, explored local galleries, and even attended art shows together. The chemistry between us was undeniable, but I was cautious. The wounds from my past were still tender, and the idea of opening my heart to someone new was daunting. Yet, Clara's patience and understanding allowed me to take baby steps toward vulnerability. One evening, as we strolled along the beach, the sun setting in a blaze of colors behind us, Clara turned to me, her expression sincere. "You know, I can see the light in you, Jake. You've been through so much, but you're starting to shine again. I admire your strength." Her words struck a chord deep within me. It was the first time someone had acknowledged my journey without pity but with genuine appreciation. "Thank you, Clara. I've been trying to rediscover who I am, and it hasn't been easy." "I can't imagine," she said softly, her eyes searching mine. "But I want you to know that I'm here for you, whenever you're ready." As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, I felt a flicker of hope ignite within me. Maybe it was possible to open my heart again, to let someone in without the shadow of my past looming over us. I took a deep breath, feeling the salty breeze against my skin, and I made a silent vow to myself, to embrace the uncertainty of new beginnings. The journey of healing was far from over, but with Clara by my side, I felt a renewed sense of possibility. I had learned to navigate my own heart, to face the scars left by betrayal, and to understand that while love could wound, it could also heal and transform. As I looked into Clara's kind eyes, I realized that perhaps love was not something to fear, but rather a journey worth taking, one filled with risks, joys, and the potential for deeper connections. And for the first time in a long while, I felt ready to embrace whatever came next. The road ahead of me stretched into the horizon, illuminated by the soft glow of streetlights, but it was more than just asphalt beneath my wheels, it was symbolic of the path I was choosing. A path that belonged to me and me alone. No longer tied to the weight of a broken relationship, no longer shackled by the expectations of what I thought life should be. I was free. The act of driving, of moving forward physically, mirrored the emotional journey I was on. With every mile, I felt myself pulling further and further away from the past. The memories of Hannah and what we had once shared became distant, like scenes in the rearview mirror, shrinking until they were barely visible. And while they would always exist in the landscape of my life, I knew they no longer defined me. I was no longer the man who clung to the remnants of a fractured love. The realization hit me with an almost euphoric lightness. I was living for myself now. Not for the idea of who I should be in a relationship, not for the future Hannah and I had imagined together, but for me. I had spent so much of my life defining myself in the context of us, but now, me felt like enough. I thought about the things I had once loved before our marriage became a tangled web of obligations, expectations, and eventual heartbreak. The hobbies I had let slip away, the passions I had put on hold. Music, travel, writing, the pieces of myself I had neglected in pursuit of a life that had, in the end, crumbled. Now, they all seemed possible again, waiting to be rediscovered. A faint smile tugged at my lips as I began to picture a future that was no longer tinged with sadness. A future filled with spontaneity, with adventure, with the thrill of living simply because I wanted to, not because I felt obligated to follow some preconceived plan. I had no map for where I was headed, and that was the beauty of it. For the first time in years, the uncertainty didn't feel frightening, it felt exhilarating. The night sky above me was dark and expansive, dotted with stars that twinkled like tiny beacons of hope, and I realized something important. Moving forward wasn't about running away from the past. It wasn't about pretending that the hurt hadn't happened or trying to erase the love we had shared. It was about accepting that those experiences were part of my story, but they weren't the whole story. I was still writing it. And I was the one holding the pen. I breathed deeply, letting the cool night air fill my lungs, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel the familiar tightness in my chest. I didn't feel the lingering resentment, the bitterness, or the ache of loss. Instead, I felt whole. Not because I had healed completely, but because I had finally chosen to let go. As the miles flew by, I turned off the radio and rolled down the window, allowing the crisp air to rush in and fill the car. I stuck my hand out, feeling the wind whip through my fingers, and I laughed. It was a small, simple sound, but it felt like a release, a letting go of all the heaviness I had carried with me for so long. It was as if, in that moment, I had given myself permission to live fully again. I didn't know where I was going, and I didn't care. It wasn't about the destination anymore. It was about the journey, about moving forward with a light heart and an open mind, free of the burdens that had once held me back. As the road stretched out ahead of me, I whispered a quiet affirmation to myself, I choose me. And with that, I felt a sense of liberation, knowing that from this point on, I was living for myself. I was moving forward, not just in body but in spirit. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I was at peace. Truly at peace. I was free. Hannah's perspective. As Jake drove away, an unexpected wave of sorrow washed over me, a strange feeling that seemed foreign after everything we'd been through. I stood in the doorway of our home, staring at the empty space beside me, a haunting reminder of what I had lost. I knew he was out there somewhere, feeling a sense of freedom, while I was left to face the aftermath of my choices. The consequences of my actions weighed heavily on me. The silence in the house was deafening. I could almost hear the memories of our laughter and love echoing in the corners, but now they felt like ghosts haunting me. I thought about the dining table where we'd once shared dreams for the future, and the empty chair across from me was a stark reminder of everything I had taken for granted. Guilt settled over me like a heavy cloak, suffocating and relentless. How could I have been so careless with something so precious? In the days that followed, I found myself wandering the empty rooms, reflecting on my mistakes. The stillness around me was filled with unasked questions and unspoken apologies. I imagined reaching for my phone to call Jake, but each time, I hesitated, knowing it would only open old wounds. Instead, I paced the rooms, feeling trapped in my own guilt, haunted by the reality of what I had done. I knew I had to confront my mistakes. The guilt clung to me, making it hard to breathe, but I needed to learn from this. I took to journaling, pouring my thoughts out onto the pages, hoping to make sense of the chaos in my mind. Each word was a step toward understanding, a chance to confront the pain I had caused and the reality of my actions. As the weeks went by, I tried to fill my days with things that brought me comfort. I took long walks in the park, letting the fresh air fill my lungs and clear my mind. I joined a support group, where I found comfort in the stories of others who had faced similar challenges. It felt good to talk to people who understood my pain, even if it didn't erase the hurt I felt. But no matter how many distractions I tried to create, the emptiness remained. I couldn't shake the feeling that Jake was still tied to me in some way, even if he was out there reclaiming his life. While he was moving on, I was left to untangle the mess I had created. I hoped he would find happiness, but I also worried about him being alone. I imagined him sitting in silence, haunted by our memories, just as I was. With every passing day, the reality of our separation sank in deeper. I tried to focus on healing, to push myself to accept what had happened, but I kept coming back to the moments we had shared, the laughter, the warmth, the way he used to look at me. Those memories were like a double-edged sword, bringing both comfort and pain. The love we had felt so real, so vibrant, and now it felt like a ghost lingering just out of reach. In my efforts to move forward, I found myself haunted by regret. I thought about how I had broken the trust that had taken years to build. I tried painting again, but the colors seemed dull and lifeless on the canvas. The joy I once felt in creating had vanished, replaced by a profound sense of loss. I would sit in front of the canvas for hours, unable to bring myself to start, knowing that my heart wasn't in it anymore. The weeks turned into months, and while I sought therapy and tried to engage in new activities, the ache of missing Jake never faded. The quiet moments of the day were the hardest. It was in those stretches of silence that the memories flooded back in waves, his laughter, the way his eyes sparkled when he spoke about his dreams. I missed him in a way that felt all-consuming, a longing that refused to let go. No matter how much I tried to convince myself that I was moving on, I realized I was stuck in this limbo of grief. The reality was that I could see Jake's life unfolding without me, while I remained tethered to our past, unable to fully embrace my own future. I worried I might never be able to let go of him, never truly move on. In the evenings, I often found myself sitting alone at our dining table, staring at the empty chair across from me. The silence was overwhelming, filled with unasked questions and unspoken apologies. I could almost hear Jake's voice, the way he used to share his hopes and dreams, and it broke me all over again. I would clutch the chair, imagining him there, wishing I could turn back time, wishing I could change my actions. I was beginning to accept that while he might be free, I was still bound by the weight of my choices. The memories that once brought me joy now felt like chains, dragging me down into a darkness I couldn't escape. As much as I tried to find solace in the hope of rediscovering myself, a part of me was lost, forever mourning the love we had shared.